In a June 18th interview with Filmstarts, Amy Pascal let us all know what we wanted to hear, namely that Venom will be part of the MCU, and that Tom Holland's Spider-Man very well might show up in it. That is the opposite of what we have been told up until now, so her comments kind of took everyone by surprise, including Kevin Feige, chief architect and gatekeeper of the MCU. Since this comment so far hasn't been backed up by Kevin Feige or anyone else from Marvel, the question remains if this indeed should be considered as confirmation that Venom will in fact be part of the MCU, or if it should be dismissed as Amy Pascal having another Amy Pascal moment and speaking out of turn. In this video, I will provide some relevant background context, connect some dots, and provide some scenarios which might explain what could be going on here. SpiderMan Homecoming is Marvel's Spider-Man. The movie takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and is a collaboration between Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. It also marks the second of a total of 5 officially scheduled Spider-Man appearances in the MCU. The first was in Captain America Civil War, and after Homecoming, Spider-Man will also be in Avengers Infinity War Parts 1 and 2. The final appearance will be in the Spider-Man Homecoming sequel, set for release in the summer of 2019. Unless the deal is renewed, Spider-Man's involvement with the Marvel Cinematic Universe will then be over, and Sony will once again be able to do with the character as they please in their own movies, because Tom Holland would still have one movie left on his contract for Sony, not Marvel. Of course, any studio with half a brain would have no second thoughts about not just renewing the deal, but also expanding it. Just look at Netflix. Their initial deal with Marvel was for 1 season of Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, followed by the Defenders team-up, and possibilities of renewal. They recognized what they had, and didn't even wait till the initial deal was up before expanding it with more seasons and the Punisher spin-off. Sadly for the fans, it is not Netflix, but bomb factory Sony Pictures that hold the keys to Spider-Man. To the extent of which the powers that be at Sony even have a business sense, it is a very skewed one. Rather than working with Marvel Studios like Netflix did, Sony seemed to be preparing to screw Marvel over once the current Spider-Man deal was up, using Venom as their primary weapon. On May 19th, news broke that Sony Pictures may have found their director and star for their upcoming Venom movie, namely Ruben Fleischer, most known for Zombieland, and Tom Hardy, known for a lot of awesome roles, as well as Muffled Bane. The movie would be rated R, no doubt because that worked well on a low budget for Logan and Deadpool. It would not tie in with Spider-Man Homecoming or the MCU, and most interesting of all, the movie is set for release in little more than 1 year, on October 5th of 2018. Meaning, they have to rush it like there is no tomorrow if the movie is to be done by then. Why such a hurry, you wonder? The most likely reason is that they want the movie out in good time before the current deal with Marvel ends in the summer of 2019. That way, Sony would have an established alternate Sony Marvel universe that they could use as leverage. Instead of renewing the deal as is, Sony would then be in a position where they can threaten Marvel with taking Spider-Man out of the MCU and putting him into their own Sony Marvel universe, unless Marvel is willing to part with an obscene amount of money. Just to show they mean business, Sony even announced Silver and Black the week after they announced Venom. That would be Amy Pascal's passion project Glass Ceiling that she initially wanted Paul Feig to direct, resurfaced under another name. The movie would feature Spider-Man's side characters Silver Sable and Black Cat, and is also rumored to feature appearances by Chameleon, Scorpion, Tarantula, and at the very least a reference to Norman Osborn. Neither Venom nor Silver and Black would be part of the MCU, however. Kevin Feige himself explicitly stated that these were Sony projects that Marvel had no involvement with, and which would have no connections to the MCU. In light of this, Amy Pascal's recent comment was puzzling. She said that Venom and Silver and Black will now take place in the world they're creating for Peter Parker. They'll be adjuncts to it, they may be different locations, but it will still all be in the same world and they will be connected to each other. That is pretty much the same deal as the Netflix series, which happened adjacent to the Avengers level stuff, but very much so in the same universe. Could the same thing be happening here? The fact that Kevin Feige looked so awkward suggests that things might not be quite as straightforward as Pascal would have us believe. If she indeed did speak out of turn, Feige would never correct her in front of a live camera. He is too professional for that, as doing so would put him and Marvel in a bad light and certainly give the wrong kind of headlines. We will find out what is up sooner or later, but at the time of making this video, we still don't know. So let's speculate and run through two possible scenarios. Both Marvel Studios and parent company Disney have released R-rated fare before, but not theatrically under the Marvel Studios banner. Feige has previously said that no Marvel Studios feature would ever be rated R, a stance he doubled down on as recently as in April of this year. However, just 1 week prior to Pascal's comments, his stance seemed to have softened on the matter. He then told Allociné that while Marvel Studios don't currently do R-rated movies, it was not out of the question that they might in the future. Around the same time, Tom Holland also told Allociné that SpiderMan Homecoming would be the first of a new trilogy of Spider-Man movies. This should be non-news, because while the current deal is that Marvel Studios will only make 2 Spider-Man movies for Sony, Tom Holland is under contract with Sony to make a third movie for them, one that Sony can make themselves, without Marvel, outside of the MCU. So a trilogy, as in 3 solo Spider-Man movies starring Holland, was always on the cards. Nothing new there. But Holland then added, "Whoops! Sorry Marvel," as if he had broken some radical new information which wasn't previously known. If you connect the dots between Feige suddenly softening his stance on R-rated movies, Holland seemingly thinking he broke something new and important, and Amy Pascal saying the R-rated Venom will be in the MCU, well, that can certainly be interpreted as that Marvel and Sony have reached a new deal, one where Marvel will make a full SpiderMan trilogy and which sees Venom as part of the MCU. In this case, Feige's reaction could be interpreted as annoyance that Amy Pascal just casually let slip what was supposed to be an headline-dominating, surprise crowd-pleaser announcement at Comic-Con, or something else timed to boost SpiderMan Homecoming's opening weekend. Then he smiled because, hey, despite Pascal's continued bumbling, they'll at least get their headlines. If this is the case, what could have motivated Sony to suddenly play ball? Well, a couple of things. On June 1st, Tom Vinciquerra stepped into the position of Sony Pictures CEO after Michael Lynton stepped down earlier this year. That means that Tom Rothman reports to him. It is certainly not outside the realm of plausibility that Vinciquerra demanded that Rothman, Arad and Pascal stop their silly games and renew their deal with Marvel Studios, which is just about the only thing Sony Pictures has got going for it. Also, the fact that Venom and Silver and Black announcements were met with fan derision more so than with fan excitement might not have gone entirely unnoticed. There is the matter of King Arthur and the Mummy. Their studios tried to hype up the cinematic universes those movies were intended to kickstart, yet both bombed. That is likely to startle any studio about to venture into its own cinematic universe, especially one that failed once before. But I repeat, this is just speculation and a best case scenario. I'm not saying this is what happened, only that it fits with what we see. Other, more dreary scenarios also fit with the observations. Feige's softening stance on R-rated movies could be down to seeing what Deadpool and Logan did, and deciding that, yeah, maybe not rule out the possibility of R-rated movies. Fans really responded to them, so perhaps at the very least, leaving the door open might be in order. Tom Holland's trilogy comment could also be interpreted as that he will indeed be making that third Spider-Man for Sony, thereby making it a trilogy he stars in. And Pascal's comments? That could be Sony deliberately trying to deceive the audience, creating the impression that the Sony movies are part of the MCU, despite this not being the case. using Holland as connective tissue after both his and Sony's contract with Marvel is up. But again, this is also just speculation. At the time of making this video, we don't know the reality of the situation. For now, we don't know what is going on, although we will hopefully learn sooner rather than later. Till then, I would advise against popping the champagne too soon. Any outlet using these comments as justification that Venom is in the MCU should be disregarded, because Sony employee Amy Pascal is not in a position to decide what is canon with the MCU and not. Only Marvel can do that, and last we officially heard, Kevin Feige was adamant that Venom, and by extension Silver and Black, were separate. And even if it is connected, would you even want a teenage Spider-Man to deal with Venom? I am personally of the opinion that Venom should wait until a second SpiderMan Trilogy, when he is older. Let Venom and Carnage be the focus of that. As usual, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments.
If you like this video, then please hit that subscribe button. Due to recent changes made by YouTube, we also encourage all of our subscribers, both new and old, to please hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button as well, so you will be notified when new videos are uploaded. Be sure to check back for news and analysis of the happenings and corporate politics behind the scenes of your favorite genre movies, as well as explorations of your favorite characters and their backgrounds and context here at Midnight's Edge.